71-year-old man reportedly hasn't left his house for the last 55 years because he is terrified of women. According to a short film by Aframax, Calixte Zamweta barricaded himself inside what's become a wooden fortress at just 16 years old. And this is all because he never wanted to talk to or see a woman ever again. They say that he suffers from a type of anxiety disorder called genophobia, which is the fear of women. Experts say that you can develop this phobia through experience.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, what we do is, man, we break down scary and creepy videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that like button, man, on each and every single video, and also hitting that post notification bell, man. You guys are help pushing us into this algorithm, man. Like I said, one day, man, we're gonna just grow and just explode and take off, but each and every like, it pushes us even more. So thank you guys. Found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best, man. Let's seek the truth.
Unusual places in the world. Located in Quebec, Canada, this forest has a pretty creepy atmosphere. It might be because the ground looks like it's moving, making it seem like Mother Earth is taking a deep breath. This next one is actually terrifying. Located in Penang, Malaysia, this huge water tornado was getting extremely close to this apartment building. Fortunately, it stopped right in front of the building because it ran out of water. And how about this one? It used to be a hiking area before it got flooded, so everything you see here used to be above water. Imagine being a fish and seeing this appear out of nowhere.
Here are some experiments that went horribly wrong. In 1983, a man volunteered to be a test subject for a groundbreaking experiment. Scientists disconnected every sensory nerve from the man's brain to see if he could sense God's presence. The man could no longer feel, hear, see, or smell anything after this was done, and the experiment started. He started reporting that he could hear voices of the dead and gave details that he couldn't have ever known. He then said that he could see the entities, to which he started clawing at his own eyes. He eventually went insane and started biting chunks of his own flesh off. The last words the man spoke before his death were, "I have spoken with God, and he has abandoned us." It is uncertain if this was real or fake, but it is sure to send shivers up your spine.
What do you guys think about that story, Seekers? Fact or cap?
Things you should never Google. Lemon party. Harlequin fetus. Blue waffle. Dead loving.
Facts that will blow
Take
your
their
mind.
word for it.
Humans are the only animals that enjoy spicy foods.
Really?
Potato chips cause more weight gain than any other food. It's impossible to hum while you hold your nose. The least interesting day in history was April 11th, 1954. Aldous Huxley and C.S. Lewis died on the same day as JFK. Bigger forks lead you to eat less. The longest living insect is the termite. Chewing gum after a meal reduces heartburn. Dogs can smell cancer. Bees can detect bombs. Follow and comment below which fact blew your mind.
For me, it would have to be the two last ones, man. Dog can smell cancer and bees can detect bombs. We need to be training these bees then, bro. Have our own me unit sniffing on bombs, man. I had no idea they can do that. What the more you know, man. And about the fact about dogs, I kind of heard that before, like how a dog can kind of tell like, how you're sick before, like even the doctors can pick up on it, or even you can pick up on it. Like they just know. They can just sniff that out. The more you know, man. Crazy facts.
This is the Backrooms Explained. The Backrooms are alleged to be an alternate terrifying dimension that people end up in when they glitch out of reality. Upon glitching into the Backrooms, you will find 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms that literally go on forever. Nothing but the stink of moist carpet, the madness of the color mono yellow, and the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz. And if you hear something moving, you better run because the chances are they heard you too. In order to escape, It is said you have to complete a series of levels, which test you to an impossible standard. Which is why if you ever enter the back rooms, you're most likely never getting out.
The back rooms, bro. You know, there's a lot of TikToks on the back rooms that can really break it down. He did it good too. They even making a game about the back rooms recently too. See, because you know how you can call out the
This
edits.
71-year-old man reportedly hasn't left his house for the last 55 years because he is terrified of women. According to a short film by Aframax, Calixte Zamweta barricaded himself inside what's become a wooden fortress at just 16 years old. And this is all because he never wanted to talk to or see a woman ever again. They say that he suffers from a type of anxiety disorder called genophobia, which is the fear of women. Experts say that you can develop this phobia through experiencing a traumatic event, or be predisposed to it through your genetics. But whatever's got him shook must be pretty damn powerful, because the small hut he's been willingly trapped in for the last 55 years only has one bedroom, meaning he sleeps, cooks, cleans, and even relieves himself all in one place. But even though he's terrified of women and does everything in his power to keep them out, they are the ones keeping him alive. The video claims that the women of his village are the ones who bring him food and other essential items that he needs to survive. They do this by tossing the items over the fence, and when they leave, he'll cautiously come out, collect them, and then quickly go back inside. The question is, how rare do we think genophobia really is?
That's the first time I even heard about something like that. You can actually have something that makes you scared of women. Maybe more people got that, man, and they just don't know that they have it. The hell? But it's kind of ironic, though. Like, the women are the one that's helping keeping him alive there because they give him food and supplies. But yet, he's scared of them. And then for 30 years in that small hut.
The most sick and twisted slasher we've ever seen. A lot of you guys seem to think that the bedroom scene from Terrifier 2 is not that crazy, and I genuinely think that there's something wrong here. That scene is genuinely one of the most insane scenes I've ever seen in a horror movie. We don't see things like that coming from Jason. We also don't see things like that coming from Michael, especially with the lead-up of Terrifier 3. As we know, I'm pretty sure this kid is getting packed up. And with the fact that Art the Clown is dressed up as Santa Claus for most of the movie, meaning he's going to be decorating some trees. Now, going over a couple OGs from the slasher scene, of course you have Freddy Krueger, the Nightmare Demon. For anybody who doesn't think Freddy's a slasher, his nickname is the Springwood Slasher, but he's really about it. The only thing Freddy's ever done that's comparable to anything that Art the Clown has done, from that, I think it's part 2, maybe it's part 1, where the kid literally gets sucked up through the bed. That was pretty up there. You then of course have my boy Ghostface, but he hasn't done anything absolutely crazy like that.
Yeah.
You then have Michael, started a ton of controversy in my last video. Needless to say, we've never seen an unaliving as brutal as the Art the Clown bedroom scene. And then you throw Leatherface in there. Still, once again, yes, he's a cannibal, but hasn't really done anything on the scale as Art. But yes, to answer my own question, I do think Art the Clown is the most sick and twisted slasher we've ever seen. What do you think?
Scary
Take a
fun
word for
facts
it.
until the Orbeez overflow. There are microscopic mites that live in your eyelashes. Being buried alive happens so often on accident that they've now invented safety coffins. In the 1800s, dentures were made with real teeth from the deceased. Radio station UVB76 has been broadcasting since 1982. All it does is make creepy noises and nobody knows where it's broadcasting from. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. The final part of Mount Everest that you have to climb is known as Rainbow Valley. They call it that because all you see is all the different colored jackets from the frozen hikers. And it looks like I'm out of time. Follow for more fun facts.
Damn, Rainbow Valley? Looks like a lot
I
of
don't
people
think I
didn't
really
make
hate
it.
any animal. Every animal has a purpose except this. I hate this bird. I hate everything it stands for. If Happy Feet had an Antarctic Antichrist in its cast, that movie would have been a snuff film. This is a giant petrel, but if you're a sailor, you probably know it by its street name, the Stinker. Does this satanic seagull on steroids is a meal plan of rotting, decaying, disease-ridden foulness I can't even imagine. Or maybe I just don't want to. And like an air-conditioned vulture, they have the same table manners, meaning they'll pull up to a corpse and start eating it from the softest point. So if you ever peep this flying coffin and red face, no, it just got done tossing an expired elephant seal salad, which makes their choice in self-defense somehow more offensive. Press a petrol or its kid, and it'll projectile vomit vile-smelling corrosive stomach oils right to the face. Oils that are so acidic they can actually strip the waterproof coating off other birds' feathers. You know, I said vultures, and that's not fair. At least vultures usually wait for you to die. Petrels do no such favors. Pain and paralysis demon will snatch up miners like Dan Schneider and rip them open alive. And remember, the Stinker will pull organs right out the poop chute. The freeze-dried flea bandit has been known to drown other birds like the Australian gannet. You wanna know what this predatory prostate exam is? This is if hyenas had wings. And don't think they just go after chicks if they find an injured penguin.
claim they will personally speedrun the process. Well, actually not speed, because again, the anal undertaker don't wait for you to pass tense. It's like the booty warrior from Boondocks came back as a bird. Blight to the animal kingdom with a negative rice purity score with a wingspan that can reach a shack. Alright, I'm done. They're not that bad. I just don't like the way they sound.
That's crazy. He said they the booty warriors, bro. Of birds, man. It's insane.
The most disturbing videos in the world. This picture contains a list of disturbing videos from least scary to the most. This will be my scariest series ever. Starting with tier 1, we're going to take a look at a couple of them. The first one is the creepy Japanese McDonald's commercial. Before you watch this, the idea of this commercial was that hunger watches you at night. The second one we're going to take a look at is Dining Room or There Is Nothing. Just take a look at it. This was just tier 1. Tomorrow's video for tier 2 is where things start getting crazy. Make sure to like and follow for tomorrow's video for tier 2.
I'm gonna be watching you at night when you...
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 21. This photo shows an 8-month-old Zhao Bao who was lucky to be alive because his mother stabbed him 90 times after he bit her while she was breastfeeding him. The world's scariest haunted house, McCamey Manor, requires you to sign a 40-page waiver and undergo a physical and mental evaluation. If you manage to make it through the house, you could win $20,000. But to this day, no one has ever made it through. The little girl who voiced Ducky in The Land Before Time was shot to death by her father, who then committed suicide. Roman Emperor Nero had a boy castrated, dressed him up as a bride, and married him, all because the boy looked similar to his previous dead wife. A 46-year-old man found and attacked a 13-year-old boy because the kid was killing him too many times in a game of Call of Duty.
What was
the COD?
The Russian sleep experiment is where they took 5 prisoners of war and kept them captive in a room for 30 days without sleep. The whole goal of this whole experiment was to see what would happen to the human body and mind without sleeping for 30 days. Kind of like a sleep deprivation experiment. And I'm gonna be honest, the way they were keeping them awake was absolutely insane. Not only having oxygen constantly pumped throughout that room, kind of like a casino, because obviously there was no windows because they didn't want them to know what time of day it was. Sort of, as I said, like a casino where they pump oxygen in, you have no idea what time it is, and you kind of always feel awake. But the other way they were keeping them awake was by pinning them with amphetamines to ensure them staying awake. Now obviously the experiment did not go as planned, with some of them just being unalive just due to the fact of being up for too long. Others screaming so loud that their vocal cords actually ripped out, causing them to be unalive. Now back in 2018, we were supposed to be getting a full feature-length film, a real adaptation of this creepypasta into a movie. Now there are some pretty good short films on YouTube depicting this whole entire story, but we were supposed to get a feature-length film a couple years ago. Now obviously this is a creepypasta, so comment down below what creepypasta I should cover next.
Damn, a fully feature film? What happened to it? Why did it like stop production? And why did it get canceled? They want us to see, I guess, the true extent of their experiment? That's my guess. Those creepypastas, man. Some weird backstories.
The devil works hard, Drake's PR works harder, but no one on earth does more than a horny male bird. Now think about ladybirds. They will make their guy work for it. Standards will make the average man have a heart attack. A bowerbird will spend days, weeks, sometimes months of his life building and decorating a bower, all in the name of female validation. They don't just build it either, they'll color code it too. They'll even people rival with a bigger bower and level the entire thing out of pure spite. That's not normal, Petty. Nah, that's advanced. Adelie penguins, yeah, remember them. They nest with rocks, so if a guy penguin wants to commit, he doesn't do it with a ring, but he does it with a stone, no diamond. But penguin politics means the guy can get cheated on by his girl, basically selling her body to someone else for a rock. Yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. The world's oldest profession is older than you think. But also the opposite can happen, where a female flirts with a guy, gets his hopes up, and right when bro think he finna catch cloaca, she steals a rock out of his nest and then runs home to her actual mate. Imagine buying a girl a drink and she gonna get up and hand it to her husband. Like, you know what, I respect it. Bald eagles will do this thing where they lock talons in the air and kind of just death spiral back to Earth. To them, it's a ritual or just really risky foreplay. Apparently, it's a test to evaluate whether this eagle's fit to be a mate. To be fair, they mate for life, so they kind of have to get it right. But they look real stupid when they hold on too long and end up bird smacking the ground together, effectively taking each other off the dating pool permanently. Albatrosses have a very specific synchronized dance they do to reinforce their bond, and it's not just any dance. It's a ritual with certain steps and moves they have to get right. Crazy part is, some albatrosses don't get active till they're 10. They'll really spend years of their life perfecting a dance just to get a chance. The more you know.
It is criminal that more people don't know about this. A group of teenagers in Africa have just created the world's first hour-long superhero movie that's recorded on a phone and entirely edited on CapCut.
Whoa.
What you are seeing right now took a staggering 2 months to edit. They call themselves the African Cinematic Universe. The filming process took about 7 days and was all shot on a borrowed iPhone 10. All of the editing, including the VFX, the sound effects, was all done on CapCut using a Samsung 7S Edge and an Amazon Fire tablet. As if this needed to be any harder, but they did this all without any food or water. And no, comment, it's not because they were in Africa, it was because it was the month of Ramadan. And the ultimate fear around all of this is that their phone would crash during the export process and they would lose all of their work. So they overcame this by cutting and exporting the movie in 13 to 16 minute segments. And then by a stroke of luck, someone who saw the trailer donated them a PC so that they could put them all together and export the full hour. They even had a premiere for its release. Man, if they get their hands on some real editing equipment, Hollywood is cooked. This movie deserves way more attention. So please, for all of their hard work, let's show them some love.
This is the scary story about...
It's crazy. The African Cinematic Universe, the ACU. Hey man, you know, people might tune into that, bro, because you know how the MCU is going right now. It's not hot right now, but that's actually insane that they made a whole movie on a phone. Goes to show you, man. If you work with what you got, you can make something special.
About the woman in the night. A young man moved into an apartment building. The first night he slept in his new apartment, he was woke up by somebody knocking on the door at 1 o'clock in the morning. He got up and opened the door, and standing there was a young woman. She apologized for waking him up and told him that she was his neighbor. She said her husband was beating her and asked if she could spend the night on the sofa. The man felt bad and let her stay the night even though it seemed strange. The next morning, he checked the living room and discovered that the woman was already gone. He assumed that her husband and her made up. But that night, at the same time as before, the same girl was knocking on the door. The man opened it and she said her husband had beaten her up again and wondered if she could spend the night on the sofa again. He said yes, and the next morning when he got up, the woman was gone again. The man grew suspicious and asked his landlord about the strange neighbor. The landlord's face grew pale and said nobody lives in that apartment. He said a woman who lived there died 1 year ago after being beaten to death by her husband.
What? So was it all in his mind? Or just imagining things? The hell? The woman in that scary apartment. Definitely gonna have to dive deep into that one.
You'll never look at a mall Santa the same way after hearing this story. So this photo was taken around 1920 in a Christmas fair happening outside of Boston. The young child in this photo is Alberta Porter, the daughter of Robert Porter, who was supposed to be Boston's next mayor. Apparently, this Santa had set up around the corner from the rest of the fair and was not visible from the rest of the fair. Robert and his daughter actually didn't even see the Santa until they were walking home. The line to see Santa inside of the fair was way too long, so when Alberta saw this Santa, she started crying and begging her dad to take a photo with him. So this photo was taken, and afterwards, the Santa asked if Alberta wanted to go on a short ride on the donkey. And she starts crying and begging her father again, so he agrees. But Alberta never returned. An hour went by and Santa still hadn't brought her back. Robert ran into the fair to ask an employee how long the donkey rides typically last, but the employee seemed really confused. There was no Santa with donkey rides at this fair. The employee pointed to the Santa who had a long line of children out in front of him and said that was the only Santa at the fair. Alberta was never found, and Robert actually dropped out of politics to spend his entire life and savings on finding her and the man who took her, and never did.
Man. Be careful, bro. These are weird people out here pretending to be Santa.
Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and the new age slasher Art the Clown. It's this one thing. Gen slashers always hold true to this, because they're not threats. But will Art the Clown see it that way? I don't know, because from what I've been told, the first couple minutes of Terrifier 3 are said to be some of the most disgusting, disturbing, and shocking things we've ever seen. And that's saying a lot, because Terrifier 2 was absolutely insane, especially the bedroom scene. People were literally running out of the theaters and throwing up when they first saw Terrifier 2. And if the first couple minutes of Terrifier 3 are said to be some of the most shocking and disturbing things we've seen from Art, what does that mean for this little person? What's gonna happen? Because from the countless set photos we've seen, Art the Clown is dressed up as Santa Claus and going to the mall. Meaning he's gonna have a ton of people around him sitting on his lap and telling him what he wants for Christmas. Now, we already know what Art the Clown wants for Christmas. He wants to decorate with people. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions and tagged in this video. Do I think Art the Clown is genuinely gonna pack this kid up? I don't know. I don't think Damien Leone is going to go that far, but if it's been said that this movie is going to be 10 times shocking, especially the first 5 minutes, and we've already seen the 2-minute clip where Buddy's going crazy downstairs, I really don't know if I would put it past Art the Clown for him to do this. I just kind of hope not.
These are some extremely unsettling facts, and I found all of these on Reddit. The Conjuring is one of the most influential horror movies of all time and actually helped pave the way for a lot of other movies that were to come along in the future. But there was a lot of dark stuff that went on behind the scenes. After they had finished their first day of filming, actress Vera Farmiga had noticed something very off. She had 3 very large claw marks on her body, much larger than any human could have possibly done. And when she was asked about it, she said, "There's no way that I could have left this and not known." And this further adds on to the urban legend of this movie actually being cursed. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of the best known horror movies ever, but there's so much more behind this movie that I didn't tell you. Like the fact that the farm that this movie was filmed on actually had around 500 animal corpses underneath it. And where there's corpses, there's going to be a stench. And it got to be so unbearable that it got to the point that whenever the director would yell cut between takes, whether it was an actor, whether it was someone that was working on the crew, would have to sprint off screen and go vomit. And finally, this is one place on Earth you cannot visit. But before I get into that, you guys, I delve into a lot of darker things, so if you want something a little more positive, make sure you go peep my bio. You won't regret it. North Sentinel Island is an island off the coast of India. This place is widely known as one of the places on Earth you cannot visit. This is because the Northern Sentinelese people who live there have become very aggressive to all visitors. They've also had very limited contact with modern civilization as we know it. Even when boats are going by, these people are known to throw spears and shoot bows and arrows at them. But there's a reason behind this. The people of the Northern Sentinel Island were brutalized and abused by colonizers years ago, and this caused them to be very shut off from the rest of the world and be very aggressive towards visitors. And if we're being real, if that happened to you, you would do the same thing. And look, I know these are pretty dark even for me, but that's why.
What he said in the last part is facts, though. They got treated like that, man, by the outside world. Now they treat everybody as hostile. I think I've heard a couple of stories about that too, man. About, you know, people trying to go to like islands where they have civilizations, try to talk to them, but doesn't end well because of what happened, I guess, years before, generations ago. Crazy to think about, seekers, man. Crazy. You guys, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today, man. If you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, make sure you guys subscribe, hit that post notification bell, also hit that like button, man, on each and every video I drop, man. Like I said, so we can get this algorithm, we could just tick off, man. We're getting there, video by video. Like I said, it's gonna take time just to build up, but when we tick off, y'all gonna want to join me in my journey. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing all right, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the world, from TikToks to YouTube videos to IG Reels, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button, man. You guys don't know how much you guys are helping out the channel just by doing those 3 simple steps, pushing us in the algorithm, man. We're finding other seekers, so I appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seek the truth.
The curdling facts that you wish you never knew.
Tell us about
Part
it.
16. Kangaroos are absolutely terrifying, and if you mess with one, it will likely lure you into the water and attempt to drown you. There's an abandoned Disney park that you aren't allowed to go to, and it was shut down in 1999 because it was infested with free-roaming alligators. The animals were being abused, and an 11-year-old boy died from a flesh-eating bacteria found in the park's waters. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the lion's costume was made out of a real skinned lion. This is the John Lawson house. No one knows who lives there, but every single day, there are several female mannequins sitting on the front porch wearing a variety of clothing. Their positions and outfits change daily, and many believe this is meant to convey some sort of message. And in 1871, a train crash took place just 200 feet away from the home, killing 22 people. And these mannequins are always pointing toward the crash.
Tap in, you're gonna learn some
Disturbing
facts with
facts
us.
that will ruin your life. There used to be real human remains in the Disneyland's Pirates of the Caribbean ride. There are at least 200 corpses on Mount Everest. There is no physical evidence to say that today is Sunday. We all just have to trust that someone has kept count since the first one ever. The human brain not only named itself, but it also recognized that it named itself, and was surprised when it realized that. No one knows exactly how anesthesia works anytime they put you under for a routine operation. There's currently no scientific explanation for why you are unconscious. Hit the plus sign if these disturbed you.
That last one got me about the anesthesia. So we're pumping our body full of medical supplies and stuff, but we don't even know how it truly works or functions. What happens if something goes wrong or something like that and they can't detect what's going on because they don't know the full extent of anesthesia? I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but you guys know what I meant. That actually shocked me, bro, that we still don't know the full effects of that. That's mind-blowing if you really think about it, man. And the fact that the brain named itself? Let's continue, man. Crazy.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. There are thousands of old diseases frozen in the glaciers of the world, and global warming will eventually release them all.
Oh, man.
If a person dies in their costume at Disney, like Mickey Mouse, they have to be sat down on a bench so it looks like they're resting. Climate change is making spiders bigger. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive. Tooth in the eye surgery is when surgeons put a tooth in a blind person's eye to restore their sight. It was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works, and it's still being done today. The chances of a successful CPR outside of a hospital is only 7%. Cell phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat. When you suddenly wake up during the night without any reason, there was someone or something staring at you. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 12.
Tap in, man. Especially about the part with the cell phones. That's actually crazy. Watch where you put your cell phone at. It's dirtier than the toilet seat, man. Damn. I gotta disinfect my phone daily now.
The 5 countries in Africa with the strongest juju.
Okay.
At number 5, we have the Republic of Congo. Here, witchcraft is said to be practiced across all ages in the region.
Ooh.
In fact, in a 2013 report, a staggering 50,000 children were accused of witchcraft in the Republic of Congo. Most of the accusers claimed that these children had showcased bad behavior and were therefore possessed. Number 4, Kenya. The practice of witchcraft is said to have become so prominent in Kenya that it has been commercialized. In just about every suburb of Nairobi, you will find at least one advert, hand-painted on a little plate nailed up on a pole, advertising the services of a witch doctor. There are also numerous stories of Nairobi women using these witchcrafts to secure men. Number 3, Malawi. In Malawi, there are 2 districts where it is said that the residents partake in advanced levels of sorcery. It is rumored that there are men there who possess the power to travel from Malawi to the USA in seconds. Number 2, Zambia. It is said that the practice is very alive and well in Zambia. There have been several reports of severely sick Zambians who were healed completely after a quick visit to their local witch doctor or traditional healer. Number 1, Nigeria. Nigeria's exploits in this regard has gathered a lot of media attention over the years, with people said to be using witchcraft and sorcery to attain wealth, secure wealthy partners, and battle enemies. Fourth one.
Here's what would happen if you were born on a plane. Let's say you were born on Turkish Airlines. They would have to pay your tuition and you would have free tickets for life. And while flying over a country, you would immediately become a citizen of that country. That's cool. However, in special cases, the airline you are on will also grant you their citizenship. So hopefully, you're on a good airline.
So if you're born over, like, so I'm guessing if you're born on the plane or you're going over the country, you become a citizen. They said they have to pay for your tuition and get a free passport there. People about to be saving money, man. Whoever had their freaking I guess kid on the plane, where they get dual citizenship. I never knew that.
This is the last thing anyone expected. Just within the last 24 hours, footage of where Ryan Garcia had claimed to be kidnapped has just been released.
Oh, they took me to the woods, bro, and they I'm not joking, bro. I have proof, bro. I don't give a
Oh.
Bro, I will show you every video you could ever believe. Bohemian Grove is real. They tied me down and they made me watch, dog. I absolutely don't give up anymore. Yes, I lost it. There'll be little kids.
Now, this is exactly why you can't be playing both sides, because after this video and audio footage was released, he had tweeted on how he has been going through some intense spiritual attacks and constantly fighting demons. And even if you look at one of his most recent conference gatherings, you can see him manifest from one person to another.
First, I want to give glory to Jesus Christ. I want to invite the Holy Spirit to come. I do drink. I do smoke. Now what? Alright, what if I came up there and I fuck out of you, motherfucker?
The orange cat, who was accepted by a herd of capybaras at a Malaysian zoo, has received his own official signage and is now an official resident of the capybara habitat at Zoo Negara. The cat's name is Oyen, and it's believed he lost his mother as a kitten, but he found his family in the capybara habitat, and he seems to think of himself as just another capybara. And the capybaras are just as comfortable with Oyen, happily welcoming him into the herd. He's been seen within the habitat for the past several years, and over time he's become so popular that some people visit the zoo specifically to try to catch a glimpse of him. Because he's such a beloved resident of the zoo, and he's made clear that he intends to stay with his capybara friends, he finally received his official signage in front of the habitat last month. Now, the capybara habitat is officially Oyen's home. Zoo staff has indicated that Oyen and the capybaras are happy and healthy with no signs of distress, so they're happy to let the friendship continue. And while Oyen has been spotted snacking on some leafy greens with his friends, he is fed his own cat-friendly diet by the zoo. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day. And you can see more from Oyen and the capybaras on Zoo Negara's account, which is tagged and in the caption.
It's crazy. He just integrated himself with the herd. Guess that goes to show you, doesn't matter who or what you are, man. Become a part of that herd, they'll accept you, what you are.
There are 800 dead people in this lake.
Come again?
That got your attention, didn't it, you sick son of a bitch? This is Rupkund Lake in the Indian Himalayan mountains. And this remote alpine valley is home to the skeletons of between 300 and 800 individuals. Their bones lie scattered along the lakeshore and constructed into grotesque sculptures by passing hikers. Since its discovery in the 1940s, countless papers, studies, and theories have been put forward to answer one simple question. What happened at Rupkund Lake? Why did so many unfortunate souls lose their lives in this remote mountain pass, and what happened to them? Now, if you've heard of this, you may think you're familiar with the answer, that it was a group of pilgrims that were struck down by hail. Recent studies have uncovered that the truth is much, much stranger. So tonight we're going to go over this mystery from top to bottom. Try and finally answer the question, what happened at Rupkund Lake? YouTube channel, Mini Minuteman. You only see me from short form content? Come check it out. It's like short form, but a lot longer. I'm gonna go put on my wetsuit, and I'll see you there.
Part 24
what
is
happened?
the most horrifying stomachanophobia things I've ever seen in my life. This guy is named Brickley, and he's at Disney Springs, and he is a gigantic, huge, 50-foot long, 25-foot tall dragon entirely made out of Legos.
Whoa.
A lot of people, he might not be scary. He's kind of silly looking, but the fact that he is absolutely ginormous is actually horrifying to me. His massive head alone is about twice the size of a human being. Nope. He's also made of about 3 million Lego bricks. I know you think, like, oh, I could deck him. I could just make him explode. I'm pretty sure he's glued together with, like, super glue, so you couldn't do that. That was definitely my first thought, that I could take him in a fight. Also, he's been there for about 30 years, so you can see the corrosion starting. I can't imagine what it looks like underwater. How about this? Does this scare you, or is it just silly?
It's been there for over 30 years? I wonder who built him.
Never say this out loud, or you will die. There's a cursed Japanese poem called Tornado's Hell. And supposedly, if you read it out loud, you will die or be cursed for life. Now you can read it in your head. This is where things get crazy. A man named Shuji Terayama decided to make and direct a movie based on the poem. Exactly 1 week after the release of the movie, he suddenly dropped dead. By the way, y'all, I asked y'all to name our new baby, and the highest voted name was Steve. So I guess when this guy hatches, his name will be Steve.
Since we got this baby together, you do owe me child support.
Now this other story is also crazy. There was a schoolgirl that was dared to say the poem out loud. Look, you got friends daring you to do stuff like that. You need to get rid of them. Literally 1 week after doing the dare, she suddenly dropped dead.
Woo, look at that, baby. Look at that. Sheesh.
I flashed the poem somewhere in this video, but I'm telling you, if you find it, don't read it out loud. Or I'm gonna come to your funeral and tell everybody you're stupid. You're stupid.
I ain't reading that poem. Too many bad energy, too many bad signs.
The Power of Time. This sculpture at an abandoned cemetery in Poland is slowly being absorbed by a tree. The black spots on this dog faded over 10 years. I didn't know it could happen. Bones now versus phones 20 years ago. Which one would you pick? This father and his daughter and cat 10 years apart. Adorable. These two brothers returned to Chernobyl and recreated the same pictures after 30 years. And the tiny car was still there. Subscribe for more.
How the hell did they get into Chernobyl? Isn't that where that it's like one of the most radioactive places on Earth? How the hell were they able to travel there? Were they even let inside there? It's crazy. And everything was still the same 30 years later. It goes to show you, man, how nothing's around that place. It's completely desolate. There's the sky, man. We know we can spot the edits, man. When we see these clips, we can spot them, bro. We experts now.
Oh shit!
What the fuck?
Yeah, that video's fake, but this is as real gets. Proof that dinosaurs never left, they just rebranded with feathers. Allegedly, this is a stellar sea eagle. Many would say the biggest eagle on Earth, although some would like to have a word. Matter of fact, here's the biggest eagle in your area code based on where you live. South America, you get the homicidal hippogriff, the harpy eagle. A buckbeak-coated middle finger to the food chain. Nature gave them short wings, and they used them to commit flybys in the dense jungle. They also have claws that could dap up a grizzly bear. With America, we got the golden eagle, also known as a final destination for goats and chamois. That's a chamois. This bird will make an honest attempt on the life of anything with a pulse, which is why they have a hit list of over 400 animals. The African crowned eagle is like the harpy of the motherland. Same short wings, same claws, same problems. They've also allegedly murked small children, and the famous Tongues child, which you see right here, is widely believed to have been escorted off the census by an African crowned. Wedge-tails are the dinosaurs Australia deserves. Not only will they run fades with kangaroos, they'll fly anything in their presence, and you're liable to get drone strike. This is the Philippines eagle. If you've never been flexed on by a bird, get absolutely mogged. It's a monkey eater that also has an argument for being the biggest op in the sky. Although they're endangered, so really they should be afraid of us. Moral of this video, the most devious trick dinosaurs ever pulled was convincing you they left in the first place.
Have you heard about this man who passed away while squatting 400 pounds? 33-year-old Justin Vicky was a bodybuilder and personal trainer with more than 30,000 followers on Instagram. Justin was a regular at the Paradise Gym in Bali, but on July 15th, 2023, he attempted to squat a total of 400 pounds, but things went horribly wrong. Mind you, this was all caught on camera, but I don't want to upload it because of TikTok's policies and I don't want this video to get taken down. But basically, during one of Justin's sets, he failed to lift the bar back up and it snapped his neck. He only had this person spotting him, which a lot of people have said that he should have had at least 2 other people on both sides to support him in case something like this happened. This video shows the moment Justin falls forward and his neck gets crushed. It was reported that the force of the weight broke Justin's neck and compressed the vital nerves that connected to his heart and lungs. He was rushed to the hospital where he unfortunately passed away.
You know, I don't think I really hate any animal. Every animal has a purpose, except this. I hate this bird, I hate everything it stands for. In fact, if he had an Antarctic Antichrist in its cast, that movie would have been a snuff film. This is a giant petrel, but if you're a sailor, you probably know it by its street name, the Stinker. Because this satanic seagull on steroids is a meal plan of rotting, decaying, disease-ridden foulness I can't even imagine. Or maybe I just don't want to. And like an air-conditioned vulture, they have the same table manners, meaning they'll pull up to a corpse and start eating it from the softest point. So if you ever peep this flying, confident, red-faced, no, it just got done tossing an expired elephant seal salad, which makes their choice in self-defense somehow more offensive. Press a petrol or its kid and it'll projectile vomit foul-smelling corrosive stomach oils right to the face. Oils that are so acidic they can actually strip the waterproof coating off other birds' feathers. You know, I said vultures, and that's not fair. These vultures usually wait for you to die. Petrels do no such favors. Pain and paralysis demon will snatch up miners like Dan Schneider and rip them open alive. And remember, the stinker will pull organs right out the poop chute. The freeze-dried booty bandit has been known to drown other birds like the Australian gannet. You wanna know what this predatory prostate exam is? This is if hyenas had wings. And don't think they just go after chicks. If they find an injured penguin, they will personally speedrun the process. Well, actually not speed, because again, the anal undertaker don't wait for you to pass tense. It's like the booty warrior from Boondocks came back as a bird. Blights in the animal kingdom with a negative rice purity score with a wingspan that can reach a shack. Alright, I'm done. They're not that bad. I just don't like the way they sound.
They're crazy, man. That's Black Air Force energy right there.
The red heifer sacrifice ritual. What is it really? Let me summarize this for you.
Okay.
In Judaism, Jewish people are impure, and for them to be purified, they must sacrifice a very rare breed of red cows known as the heifers. Now, the cow must pass a certain list of criteria, like having no spots, never bred, must be a certain age, doesn't have black or white hairs, etc., etc. And then afterwards, they must light this cow on fire, involving some cedar wood and sage. I'm not really aware of the technicalities. But then they use the ashes of this cow for purification of the Jewish people. This sacrifice ritual must be done in Jerusalem, facing the third temple location, which is the Aqsa Mosque. These cows are super rare. The last time this ritual was done was 2,000 years ago. Israel has found 5 cows that meet this criteria in Texas. They bought them for $500,000 and then flew them to Israel over a year ago. And the sacrifice will commence in Jerusalem before the 8th of April, which is next week. But what is the purpose of this sacrifice ritual? Number 1, purification for Jews. And number 2, the coming of their Messiah. And to us Muslims, this Messiah is the Dajjal, the Antichrist. It is not the Messiah that we await. This is not an ordinary sacrifice. This is a sacrifice to the devil. I'm sure some of you will say in order for the Dajjal to come, he's not supposed to be mentioned in the minbar for many years. But I can argue with that because the Dajjal has not been mentioned on the minbar in most regions for many, many years. So is he coming?
Okay.
Probably, yes. If they do the red heifer sacrifice, destroy the Aqsa Mosque, and build a third temple, he will come.
A lot of information, man. Of those clips that were shown to us. It's crazy.
This is the scary story about the woman in the night. A young man moved into an apartment building. The first night he slept in his new apartment, he was woke up by somebody knocking on the door at 1 o'clock in the morning. He got up and opened the door, and standing there was a young woman. She apologized for waking him up and told him that she was his neighbor. She said her husband was beating her and asked if she could spend the night on the sofa. The man felt bad and let her stay the night even though it seemed strange. The next morning, he checked the living room and discovered that the woman was already gone. He assumed that her husband and her made up. But that night, at the same time as before, the same girl was knocking on the door. The man opened it and she said her husband had beaten her up again and wondered if she could spend the night on the sofa again. He said yes, and the next morning when he got up, the woman was gone again. The man grew suspicious and asked his landlord about the strange neighbor. The landlord's face grew pale and said nobody lives in that apartment. He said a woman who lived there died 1 year ago after being beaten to death by her husband.
So what the hell was going on? Was he like communicating with a spirit or something? Someone's playing like a sick joke because he kept coming to the apartment like the same night after night at the same exact time, dude. Is that just a story? Got a lot of theories swirling around in my head right now after that clip played.
They kidnapped her for 44 days straight. Damn. The whole time, the 44 days, they were torturing her during these 44 days. It wasn't just those 3 guys that tortured her. Yeah, Denzel told me on the own, like, Yakuza, there was at least 100 Yakuza members who came and helped torture. One day, she caught them slipping, got the phone, tried to call the police. One of the guys saw, slapped the phone out of her hand, and he was mad, right? So I think they took lighter fluid and burned parts of her. Right? The crazy thing is, she survived that. No way. Yeah, a couple days went on. They were playing a game. The girl beat the guys at the game. They're even more mad. They're like, what the fuck? So her again. This is when she died, and then I think to end the story, they put her in this little like casket thing where there was cement, and they buried her alive. I think the police found out the main guy, he was locked up. But the other guys, the police didn't want to put out the names because they're all minors that did this shit. So they're all free right now. Damn.
Terrifying sounds extinct animals used to admit, and the last one's the worst. If you don't know this extinct mega chicken, you must be living your life under a rock. This is a dodo bird. 3 feet tall, 45 pounds, and a pair of chicken wings that are more useless than a penguin's. It can make an omelet for a family and produce a sound that would cause me to move to Mars. The lizard that got into your bag of trend, the velociraptor. Or should I say Jurassic Myth, because they didn't look like this at all. Hollywood lied to you. At least the film's fuck-up looks more like a Utah raptor. This is actually what a velociraptor looks like. It's basically also just a giant chicken. Moving 25 miles per hour and hunting in packs isn't the scary part. It's the way they sound. The only difference between this next animal and my meat is that it went extinct, the Titanoboa. And if this BGC's length at 50 fuck-no feet isn't impressive enough, how about its 3 feet in girth? This twisty telephone pole could squeeze at 400 psi, crushing any 20-foot crocodile that lived at the time. And this no-bro makes a sound like no other. The extinct blubberbuzz that used to swallow the megalodon, the Leviathan whale. This living sea monster is a distant cousin of our daily sperm whale. Except unlike the living load we have today that primarily consumes giant squid, the Leviathan had no predators and ate everything. And the sound alone is enough to terrify me. Congratulations, you made it to the final animal. And I'm sorry you have to hear this, but the T-Rex doesn't actually look this way. Real-life Reptar looks much more terrifying with a haircut like Grandpa. And boy, do I have news for you. Their arms weren't useless. It said that they could have bench pressed up to 400 pounds. And did I mention they can also swim? The sound they made is weird, but the closest relative they have alive today is also weird. It's the chicken. I'm so sorry it had to end this way. Enjoy.
What? T-Rex true sounds, bro? That's crazy to even think about, man. I had never knew the T-Rex and the chicken were, like, I guess, relatives or distant relatives. And the designs I'm about to see, we seen all the Jurassic Park movies, man. Shit, they know it's Hollywood, so you know they was probably gonna like lie on the designs. But I guess if you show the designs of the Jurassic Park movie and the true, like, actual T-Rex, so like I said, the Velociraptors, they're completely different, man. It goes to show you how much freaking Hollywood has, like, brainwashed people, man. People just take it for what it is. You gotta do your actual own research. See, crazy. If you guys made it with me to the end, you're true seekers seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Tell me down below, guys, what you guys think of these clips that we reviewed today. Also, man, tell me down below what can I also do to improve the channel. I'm always looking to improve, so I appreciate all the feedback. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe. The super thanks is also available. I turned that on. We're continuing to grind, man. We're gonna continue to post daily. Guys, ain't catching the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG videos, Facebook, man. Anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man, who's tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, liking each and every video. You guys don't know how much you guys are helping us by just doing those 3 simple steps. You're helping us to connect more people, find fellow seekers. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, man. Seek the truth.
Interesting facts to tell your friends, part 1.
Okay.
Up first, did you know 2 days in your life will not last 24 hours? And those days are the day you were born and the day you will die. This is absolutely insane, and just wrap your head around that for a second. Next, it is almost impossible to speak the biggest word in the English language. And it's on the screen now, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce it.
Me either.
Next up, you only know you fell asleep when you wake up. So next time you're laying in bed trying to sleep, just know you won't know you fell asleep until you've woken up. Next up, you can feel that your toes are touching, but your brain just ignores it. Do me a favor and try and feel your toes touching. I bet you can. Next, 90% of people after a discussion are left thinking of arguments of stuff they could have talked about. And I know I'm 100% guilty of this. Next, our brain generates about 50,000 thoughts a day. I guarantee you can't even write down 50,000 thoughts. Finally, the last person you think about before you fall asleep is the source of all of your pain or all of your joy. So just remember that.
Imagine if you were the last person on Earth. Free food. Explore the unknown. Empty houses. Abandoned cities. Empty roads. Go anywhere you want.
True.
No school. Get any clothing you want. You don't have to worry about corona. Eat whatever you want.
Good eats.
Peaceful sleep. No job. Waking up to silence. Screaming and hearing nothing back.
That's actually scary though.
Empty malls. Drive as fast as you want. Explore Area 51.
Oh, I'm definitely doing that.
Checking if you're actually alone.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? Breathing through your mouth while sleeping increases the risk of tooth decay. People who bite their nails tend to have stronger immune systems.
Really?
Your nose is the same size as your thumb. If you see a bear, don't run. Instead, raise your arms to make yourself look bigger and scream loudly at it. There are more bacteria in your mouth than there are people in the world. If you were offered $1 million, but you have to spend the rest of your life with the second person that appears when you click share and then WhatsApp, would you take the money? Your pinky finger is actually the strongest finger on your hand. Of more
facts that you.
I think the one which was the one he was telling the truth is what the one with the bear, how they say you're supposed to make yourself look big, because I've heard that in a couple of videos we actually watch. I learned through these clips, man, we've been seeing. So I'm gonna go with the bear one, man. That's actually, you know, you wouldn't think something like that would work, but I've seen that through a couple of videos, man. If you just scream and shout at the bear, they'll like try to run away. So I'm definitely going with the bear fact one. Or you guys picking something else?
Probably didn't know until now. A lot of us are used to taking flights that last anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, but did you know that the shortest flight in the world only lasts 57 seconds? A Logan Air flight between Scottish Islands Westray and Papa Westray only lasts 57 seconds and travels a distance of 1.7 miles. Like, bitch, I could run that. Another fun fact is one about elephants. Did you know not only do they hear out of their ears, but they can also hear out of their feet? Typically, to hear normal distances, elephants will open their ears like that and scan back and forth to hear. But to help them hear noises that are far away, they'll freeze, lean on their front legs, and that's how they hear. And lastly, we all know and love Pringles. Who doesn't love a good Pringle? The man responsible for creating the iconic Pringles can is named Frederick Bauer, but that's not the fun fact. The fun fact is that when he passed away, it was his dying wish that his remains be put in a Pringles can. His children honored the wish. They even debated over which flavor can they should put him in, and they settled on the original.
Really? What the hell? That's a weird request. I mean, everybody got their final request and they followed it. But to be in a Pringles can? And the original flavor? Might look at that flavor a little differently now.
This Inuit tribe crafted tools out of space metal.
No way.
10,000 years ago, this meteorite landed in the Arctic in northern Greenland. An entire Inuit community sprang up around it just to make tools from the iron in the meteorite, which resulted in badass stuff like this, a spear made from a narwhal tusk tipped with space metal. They didn't even have enough wood to make fires to actually forge the metal, so they had to cold forge it, just hammering it with giant stones until it was the right shape. The tools were so valuable, they were traded as far away as Norway.
Today, was asked, who has killed the most people in history? And what I found will leave you speechless. Now, most people probably assume that the answer is Adolf Hitler, the architect of the Holocaust. Others might guess the answer is the Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin, but both Stalin and Hitler were outdone by one man named Mao Zedong. From 1958 to 1962, his Great Leap Forward policy led to the deaths of up to 45 million people, easily making it the biggest episode of mass murder to have ever occurred. In pursuit of this utopian paradise, Mao Zedong herded villagers from all across China into giant people's communes so that everything was collectivized. People had their work, their home, their land, belongings, livelihoods, all of it taken away. In collective canteens, food distributed by spoonful according to merit became a weapon used to force people to follow the party's every dictate. Now, historians have speculated that tens of millions died from starvation alone. And it is not only the sheer number of people that were killed, but also the manner in which people died. Between 2 and 3 million victims were tortured to death or similarly killed, and often for the slightest infraction. There's one story of a boy who stole a handful of grain in a commune, and they forced his father to bury him alive. The father died of grief a few days later. Another time, a man had his ears chopped off, his legs tied with iron wire, a 10-kilogram stone repeatedly dropped on his back, and then he was branded with a sizzling tool. And all of this was punishment for digging up a potato.
Man, you would think we would hear more about that in the history books, but this is my first time ever hearing about something like that went down in that history. Really goes to show you, man, how things just get like discarded in history, man. You really have to look and find it. There's way more things that's happening in this world that we're unaware of. Whoa.
3 historical facts that will turn your perception of time upside down. Number 3. It's a surprising but very real fact. The guillotine was still being used for executions in France when the first Star Wars movie was released in theaters. In fact, the last execution by guillotine took place in 1977, the same year as the movie's release.
Whoa.
This shows how some ancient practices can persist over time, even in an era of technology and innovation. Number 2. It may seem incredible, but the Tyrannosaurus rex lived closer to our time than to the Stegosaurus. Indeed, the T-Rex roamed the Earth around 68 to 66 million years ago, while the Stegosaurus existed during the Jurassic period, which ended about 145 million years ago. This means there's a gap of nearly 80 million years between these two dinosaur species. This example illustrates the astounding timescale that characterizes the history of life on Earth. Number 1. Cleopatra, the last queen of ancient Egypt, lived closer to the time of the moon landing in 1969 than to the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramid was built around 2560 BC, whereas Cleopatra ruled from 69 BC to 30 BC. This puts into perspective the longevity of certain ancient civilizations like that of Egypt, and shows how human progress can be both slow and fast.
Really? If you really think about it, man, yeah, it's just like, it's about the perspective of time. It's all different.
Fun fact, until 1822, we had absolutely no idea what happened to birds in the winter. All we knew were there were birds in the summer and no birds in the winter. And people developed a lot of crazy theories about what would happen to the birds every fall. Some people said they would dive into lakes and hibernate under the ice. Some people thought they would burrow into the ground to hibernate, while other people said the birds would transition themselves into other animals like mice and rabbits in the winter, and then would transition themselves back into birds in the spring.
Really?
A Harvard educator named Charles Morton did propose migration in 1694, but he believed birds migrated to the moon and back. Then in 1822, a German hunter was out looking for dinner near the town of Klutz when he shot and killed a white stork. But when he picked up the bird, he found it already had a 30-inch spear in its neck. Finding this interesting, the hunter brought his kill to the nearby University of Rostock, where scientists found the iron-tipped wood spear to be of Central African origin. This proved without a doubt the stork had migrated between Europe and Africa, and led scientists down the right path to discover that birds migrate to warmer climates in the winter.
Disturbing facts you didn't need to know. Did you know that sometimes doctors use teeth of dead people to make dentures? And talking about teeth, there's a fish in South America that has human teeth, and for some reason it looks so creepy. If you ever see see this cute frog run away as fast as possible, because it's called a golden poison frog, and it has enough poison to kill 15 humans in a few minutes.
Damn.
Now, we all know a chainsaw is used to cut wood, right? But did you know it was invented to assist childbirth? And finally, there are still around 40 million slaves around the world, with India having the majority of them at 8 million, mostly kids.
What the more people need to know about that, man.
Weird facts about the world, part 1. It snows in the Sahara Desert. Coca-Cola does not exist in only 2 countries. Colombia's brightest rainbow is in a river. You're always 7 years behind Ethiopia.
Really? What the hell? So what time is it in Ethiopia now?
What happens if you put your head inside of a particle accelerator and turn it on? Kind of like this Hot Wheels loop. Particle accelerators accelerate particles to nearly the speed of light. And this guy, Anatoly Pogorsky, was unfortunate enough to stick his head inside of one while it was on, and this is what happened to him. Scientists use these giant circular machines, also known as atom smashers, to see how subatomic particles like protons behave while traveling at the speed of light, doing tests like crashing them into each other and other complex science stuff. And yes, I said at the speed of light. Well, almost. They get it up to like 99.99999% the speed of light, because 100% is still impossible at the moment, but hey, we're getting close. They do this by accelerating subatomic particles like protons in a long circular vacuum tube that's colder than space. They start off in a smaller loop where they use electric currents from really strong batteries to get the particles moving fast, and magnets to keep the particles on a stable path as they curve through the loop to be fed back into the batteries and get even faster. This feedback loop gets them fast enough until they're fed into a bigger loop to reach even higher speeds. And they inject a second set of protons here so they can play ring around the rosy with each other and just keep getting faster. They're then fed into the final loop where the 2 sets of protons are accelerated in opposite directions so they could collide into each other and do science. This right here would be the Large Hadron Collider, the biggest particle accelerator in the world at 27 kilometers in circumference, where the protons travel the entire circular distance more than 11,000 times per second. So yeah, it's fast. The LHC is in Switzerland and contains 1.8 billion kilometers of wires. Enough to go the distance of not around Earth, but of Earth's entire orbit around the Sun twice. Or from the Earth to the Sun and back 6 times. Anyway, so that's cool and all, but now that we know what a particle accelerator is, let's put our head inside of one. On July 13th, 1978, a scientist named Anatoly Pogorsky was working on the U-70 synchrotron particle accelerator just outside of Moscow, which is much smaller at 1.5 kilometers, but the speeds are pretty much the same. So there was an experimentation room in this lab where the accelerated protons are exposed to open air for a brief moment, and they had bare safety measures in place to make sure that no one walks in when a live beam is going. But Pogorsky showed up to the room 5 minutes earlier than he was supposed to. Somebody forgot to lock the door, and the emergency light that signaled a live beam burnt out. Say hello to Murphy's Law. He enters the room and doesn't realize there's a beam of protons traveling through the open air in front of him because they're both silent and invisible. He bends over to have a look at a few monitors and accidentally puts his head directly into the beam of trillions of protons traveling basically the speed of light. That's 76 billion electron volts of energy passing through his skin, skull, brain, and out the other side. But the craziest part? He felt no pain at all. And there wasn't even a hole in his head. That's because protons are so small that they physically passed in between the empty space of the atoms in his own head. And the voltage didn't stop in his head, it just passed right through it, which is why he didn't die from 76 billion volts. All he reported was his entire field of vision being overcome with a light brighter than 1,000 suns, but a light that only he could see. This light was inside of his head. He kind of tripped out for a sec, but once he realized he was fine, he logged the experience and went home without telling anyone. But the next day his head started to swell, so he went to the doctors and they calculated the exact path the protons passed through his head in. Although he survived, in the years to come he lost hearing in his left ear, started having episodic seizures, and the nerves on the left side of his face were destroyed, freezing his facial expression in place for the last 45 years.
Yo, what's up? These are fun.
So it was like a delayed reaction. Because at first it made it seem like I thought nothing was going to happen, but I said all that energy and protons, man, and we saw it with CERN. I've seen a couple of clips going around about CERN, so we know some crazy stuff goes down there. But the fact that that safety measures were just so laxed, and somebody didn't even, because he didn't close the door earlier, it changed somebody's life forever, man. What do you guys think about CERN, though?
Facts about women that are actually pretty crazy. Part 5. Taller women are more likely to have cancer, whereas shorter women are more likely to have smaller babies. I don't think that's a fair trade, but it's not my doings. In Greece, throwing an apple at a woman was considered a marriage proposal. Now, if anyone did that in America, and they threw an apple at the woman they were trying to propose to, she would definitely walk up to him and calmly go, "Yo, why'd you throw that apple at me? That ain't cool. Now I'm gonna have to beat you, bruh."
80% of women will ask questions that they already know the answer to, and the reason being is they're not trying to interrogate us, they're just trying to see if we're listening and if we actually care about what they're saying. So just pay attention, guys. A lot of women lose 2 to 3 hours of sleep every night due to overthinking, anxiety, worry, whatever that may look like. And I'm not saying guys don't do this too, but women are linked to having less serotonin, which helps them go to sleep. So women, if you're still up, get on the Xbox, play some COD, and smack some noobs for us.
Really? You guys believe some of those facts? I think the first one might have been cat, though. Unless there's like studies about it, but I don't know. Whereas the sky, we see those edits. We experts now.
If you earned $100,000 a day since the day Christ was born till now, you still wouldn't be as rich as Jeff Bezos. We actually know how to make car doors silent when you shut them, but it freaks people out and makes them think it's still open, which means that every car door sound was engineered to sound that way. Nike's famous slogan, "Just Do It," was actually inspired by the last words of a murderer on death row.
What the hell?
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. When whales reach a certain age, they will eventually be too weak to swim back to the surface for air, so they will just suffocate to death and eventually sink to the bottom of the ocean.
Damn.
When you die, you will be aware that you are dead until the moment your brain fully ceases function. When getting laser eye surgery, you can smell the parts of your eyes being shaved down. During the French Revolution, where the guillotine was introduced, the people to be executed fought to be first, as the blade would dull after multiple uses and wouldn't cut a head clean off at the first attempt. If you're male, after you die, your loved ones can have a doctor electrocute your prostate to force you to ejaculate for sperm. Humans have enough bite power to bite off their own finger, bone and all. The only thing stopping us is our brain's natural safety factor. A deceased human body can take between 24 to 48 hours to decompress, releasing the remaining blood, urine, and fecal matter, depending on the situation, position, and method of death. If you die on a submarine, they put your body in the fridge with all the food. If not, up a torpedo tube. It's actually common that corpses will periodically burp, fart, gasp, groan as gases escape through the mouth and anus. When you get burned by electricity, it actually leaves marks shaped like lightning on your skin. Hit the plus sign if you want to learn more facts.
You learn the facts out here, man, today. Tap in with us.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 16. Kangaroos are absolutely terrifying, and if you mess with one, it will likely lure you into the water and attempt to drown you.
What?
There's an abandoned Disney park that you aren't allowed to go to, and it was shut down in 1999 because it was infested with free-roaming alligators. The animals were being abused, and an 11-year-old boy died from a flesh-eating bacteria found in the park's waters. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the lion's costume was made out of a real skinned lion. This is the John Lawson house. No one knows who lives there, but every single day, there are several female mannequins sitting on the front porch wearing a variety of clothing. Their positions and outfits change daily, and many believe this is meant to convey some sort of message. And in 1871, a train crash took place just 200 feet away from the home, killing 22 people. And these mannequins are always pointing toward the crash.
Who the hell is putting those mannequins out there and changing them? That's a very weird mystery, man, that we're going to have to dive into. Because I had to find a backstory about that one. That one is just... make my mind turn. Somebody's out there just like setting up the mannequins each and every day. Why are they doing it? What's the reason behind it? It's the questions we need to be asking ourselves.
Here are some fun facts to tell at parties that'll make you seem super cool and likable. In an average lifespan, a person breathes in around 45 pounds of dust and debris. You know how they say dogs' mouths are cleaner? That's because there's more bacteria in a person's mouth than there is people in Canada and the US combined. A man can grow up to 6 feet of nose hair in their lifetime, and up to a 30-foot long beard if he never shaves. And if you ever wanted to swim in a pool of saliva, it would only take one person at the age of 60 to have produced enough saliva in his lifetime to fill up 2 pools. By the age of 60, a person will have lost 50% of their taste buds. That explains why old people like grits so much. The ear is actually really fragile, and it only takes about 7 pounds of force to rip your ear off.
Really? What the hell? I heard your ears, and they keep going too as well. That's some facts that we learn watching these clips together. It always grows. But I ain't swimming in the pool of saliva. Y'all got that.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. When Apollo 11 landed, it only had 20 seconds of remaining fuel. 4 months ago, a deceased rapper by the name Gunyu had his corpse on stage while fans were partying around his body. The average person wastes 5 months of their lives waiting for red lights to turn green. Cruise ships have morgues, just in case someone, you know, during the trip. If you have red eyes after swimming, it's not from chlorine. It's from the chlorine mixing with other people's urine. The furthest part of the ocean from land is Point Nemo. If you get stuck there, you're not coming back. Sunburn are your cells dying to avoid being cancerous. Most laugh tracks and shows are people from the 50s, which means you're hearing the laughter of dead people. Yeah, there's a lot more, like for part 14.
Really? Now if you think about it, you're right about the laugh tracks. I don't even know if there's still some shows or movies who use it, but why won't they update them? Yeah, that's true. You want something like that in your movies or shows, they need to update those tracks.
Kara Robinson was 15 years old when a man in his late 30s abducted and assaulted her for 18 hours before she outsmarted him. A special thank you to Lifetime for partnering with me and providing the following photos for their movie, The Girl Who Escaped, The Kara Robinson Story, to help highlight 3 ways Kara survived her kidnapping. Number 1. Kara counted the number of turns her kidnapper made, which helped lead authorities straight to his home. Number 2. She memorized important information like the serial number on the plastic container he forced her into, and the names of his doctor and dentist, which were visible on his refrigerator. Number 3. She controlled her emotions, keeping him at ease and gaining his trust. Authorities say Kara's self-control is what may have saved her life because she was able to develop an escape plan, but they had no clue the man they were chasing had killed before. Visit mylifetime.com/watchripped to watch The Girl Who Escaped, The Kara Robinson Story, and all other Ripped from the Headlines movies.
I am so glad that other people are talking about O.J. Simpson's book, because I have, this has been one of my many Roman empires in life, but this was O.J. Simpson's book that ended up, I'm going to tell you the story in a second, but If I Did It is what this book's is actually called, Confessions of the Killer. And here's the story. So he said that this book was a hypothetical account of how he would have committed double homicide if he had done it. So in 2006, a publisher announced that they were going to publish this book by O.J. Simpson. So they received a phone call from an attorney who said that O.J. was ready to confess in a book, I guess. And actually, I thought it was some kind of scam, and I didn't believe him, and I thought, this guy's a lunatic. But I took his number, and I said I'd call him back. So then she did call him back, and of course they immediately bought the book, because, what a wild thing. So it sold for $3.5 million, and when it was set to publish, there was a bunch of hype around it. I absolutely remember this. And the victims' families were outraged. Absolutely. They were absolutely outraged. Because don't forget about double jeopardy. At this point, he was tried for those murders and acquitted, so he could no longer be prosecuted for those murders, even if he said in a book that he had done it. He could be prosecuted for other things, but just not those murders. So after all of the backlash, HarperCollins pulled the book. And then, in 2007, Ron Goldman's family obtained rights to the book. They were awarded a $38 million wrongful death settlement against Simpson. And as part of that settlement, they were awarded the rights to the book. So they revised the book, added in their own personal commentary, and then released the book in 2007 anyway. So if you want to buy this book, all of the royalties go to Ron Goldman's family, so I highly recommend it, and I'm probably going to, because I have always wanted to read this book and just get a glimpse into how he would have narrated these crimes as he was getting to the point of committing them. It's just so wild to me that this book freaking exists. But I never wanted to buy it because I didn't want to give O.J. Simpson any money, so it's really nice to know that all of the rights go to the Ron Goldman Foundation for Justice. What do you think? Would you read the book?
Did you guys read that book, man? You guys want me to check it out? That's crazy, man. It's called If I Did It. He wrote a whole book about it, man. That's just just putting it right in freaking people's faces that you did it. But like I said, the double jeopardy show, you can't even get tried. Crazy to think about how somebody can escape justice like that. Seekers, if you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you guys are true seekers seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, when I drop a video, man, I just need you guys to hit that like button, subscribe, also comment down on the videos, man. It just helps us push this in our algorithm, even just to say hi, man. Just say something down below, just so I know you guys are here. Tell me, man, if you guys are also enjoying these daily uploads. Like I said, I'm keeping the schedule for next month. I might switch it up a little bit, but right now we still continue with the daily uploads. Guys gonna catch you in the next videos. Man, I'm out. Peace, YouTube. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? Hopefully you guys are doing alright, man. If you guys are brand new to the channel, you guys don't know what we do. We break down scary and creepy videos, man, on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, usual, and unexplained you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank my supporters, man. If you guys are tapping into the channel, subscribing, hitting that post notification bell, man, hitting that like button on each and every video. You guys are pushing us in the algorithm, man. Like I said, one day, man, we're just gonna go take off and explode, but gotta keep building our momentum up. Also, man, as you guys can see, I know I got a couple of comments on my shirt last time when I wore this, man. It really has my name, Daemon, but the A is kind of faded, so that's why it looks like that. Just to give you guys the explanation, because you guys know we ain't into that, man. But I found this video for you guys today. Let's do what we do best and seek the truth.
Married by this person who he thought was a woman. In 2023, this 26-year-old Indonesian man named AK met Adinda Kansa on Instagram, where they hit it off and eventually met in person and started their relationship. Throughout their relationship, Adinda wore a hijab that covered her head, her face, except for her eyes because of her religion. A year later, they got married and had a very small ceremony with only AK's family attending, and Adinda's family was not there because she said that her entire family had passed away. After they tied the knot, AK became extremely suspicious of his new wife because she constantly avoided any intimacy and was always making excuses. But also, AK said that Adinda was wearing her hijab at home at all times, so at this point he knew that she was hiding something. He then began searching for any information he could find on his wife, and that's when he found her old address, and when he went to go visit that home, he found her parents, which she said were dead. The parents told AK that Adinda is actually a man, and they had no idea that they got married. Adinda was arrested, and after an investigation was done, it was determined that he intended to marry AK so that he can steal his family's assets. Adinda was charged with fraud, and if convicted, he faces up to 4 years in prison.
Whatever you
guys think that should be the fate for all catfishes out there, man? Because that's basically what it was. We're gonna call a spade for a spade. That was a catfish. Like, how the hell? But how did he let it go that far, man? He got married to him and he didn't even know. That's mind blowing, man. If you're going on with somebody, man, you gotta do your research nowadays. That's crazy.
You never go searching for this video. These 5 friends were forced to kill each other by the Mexican cartel. These 5 young, aged from 19 to 22, were looking for some sort of employment, and they were promised a high-paying job at a call center. But when the alleged contact was taking them to meet the people for the job, it actually turned out to be a whole scheme to recruit them to the Mexican cartel. And when all 5 of these boys said they didn't want to join, the cartel then said okay and tied them up, taped their mouth and took a picture, and then recorded one of the friends killing all the other 4 friends. And after that, they put the 5th one, who just killed all of his friends, into a car and set it on fire. I am telling you right now, do not go searching for this video because you will find it. And trust me, you do not want to see something like this. This case is absolutely horrific, and the fact that this happens way more often than we think is just extremely scary and disturbing. It's just sad that these young men were just trying to get a job and make some money for themselves. But instead, it turned into a living nightmare. Rest in peace, these 5 young men.
Here's one more reason to be terrified of the ocean. Of course, it's scary when the sea is stormy, but according to Japanese legend, you should be more afraid of calm waters. Because that is when the umibozu is said to rise from the deep. This ghostly pitch black figure will not only scare you into a state of shock, but it will then throw you overboard and drown you in the sea.
It is criminal that no one knows what this guy is doing right now. A man is attempting to become the first person ever to walk the entire length of the United States barefoot. He started his over 5,000 kilometer walk in February, and as you'd imagine, his feet have already taken an absolute battering. He's already had to walk through snow, which he says was so cold that it makes every pebble feel like you're walking over a Lego brick. But if the cold wasn't bad enough, he will soon have to walk through the Midwestern summer heat, which will easily reach temperatures of over 100 degrees. And because of that, similar to Russ Cook running through the Sahara, he says that he's going to have to walk overnight because during the day, the paving will just be too hot. He's almost been hit multiple times by massive semi-trucks not paying attention and pushing him off the road. The nerve endings on his feet are so bruised from stepping on rocks that it keeps him up at night. He's had really bad infections that haven't had enough time to heal, because if he does take days off and doesn't make it to New York before the winter, he is screwed. And the part which just blows my mind, he's doing all of this to raise awareness for men's mental health, because he himself, after leaving the army, fell into such a deep depression that it led him to the edge of a cliff. But despite this amazing cause and what he's putting himself through, he has only 139 followers on TikTok and only 412 on YouTube. I mean, that should be illegal. He's got about 6 months of walking left to do. So please, let's show this man some support and push him through.
That's crazy, man. He's doing that for a good cause, and hopefully, man, just catches some fire, catches some heat, so more people are aware of that. Barefoot, too? That's a different type of breed right there, man.
Have you heard the creepy story behind this photo?
What?
She's been named the Expressionless. Well, the story takes place in June of 1972. Hospital employees were very shocked and scared when this woman entered the hospital wearing a blood-soaked gown. What was terrifying is that she had no emotion on her face. When the doctors went to sedate her to see what was wrong, she started to fight back. This is her in that very moment. Now, this is a creepypasta, but some believe that this photo is actually true and that this is a real creepy-ass woman. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Photos from his...
This is a real sign in a city called Davao in the Philippines, and there's a lot of history behind it. Now, as you can see in the sign, it says, "Waving children, please wave back," with a pair of children with their arms up. This sign serves as a warning to everyone passing by that there are ghosts of children in the area. It's believed there's a ton of supernatural activity all around the area, and if you don't wave back, these children will come and haunt you. Upon researching the story, I haven't found anyone reporting that they haven't waved back to any of the children. I've only heard accounts of people waving back and then being okay afterwards. So with that information in my head, I can only assume the worst happens if you don't wave back. So obviously, if you're traveling in the Philippines and you see a child wave to you, wave back for your own safety. The last thing you want is a ghost child following you and haunting you for the rest of your life. Let me know what you guys think about this. I also covered a video on the Aswang, which is another Filipino urban legend. Very scary stuff, definitely go check that out. And if you have any suggestions, let me know.
You guys waving back, man? I wouldn't want no ghosts, no spirits, bad energy, juju following me, so I'll have to wave back. I don't need that following me around.
This is a true horrifying story, part 32. In parts 25, 26, and 27, I warned you all about the most dangerous book that was ever written, Shams al-Ma'arif. This book is a portal to the world of jinns and demons. There's a person that read this book, and this person faces traumatic incidents every single day. She's a woman from Jordan. She graduated university being the top graded student. She is a genius. She has read hundreds of novels. She had a strong passion for books. She heard about this book called Shams al-Ma'arif. She couldn't live knowing that there's a book that has a strong story behind it without reading it. After many months of trying to find the real copy of this book, she heard about an old man that lives in Jordan that had an ancient copy of Shams al-Ma'arif. She got in touch with him, and he refused to sell the book, but she didn't quit. It took her many weeks to finally buy the book off of him. She goes back home and immediately starts reading the book. After she read the first few chapters of the book, she felt kind of hungry, so she decided to go to the kitchen and prepare some food and then continue reading. As she goes into the kitchen, she opens the oven and a gale of fire burns her face. She spent 3 weeks in the burn unit rehabilitation. The oven was switched off. No one knows till this day where the flames came from. She had multiple plastic surgeries to recover her facial features. But till this day, her face is not what it used to be. After recovery, she goes home weeks later and she looks for the book, knowing that the jinn was the reason she was harmed. She tried to find the book for many days, but it was lost. Years go by. She was home watching TV one day She came across an Islamic channel that had a live interview program. An old man was being interviewed on this channel. He was asked by the imams about the dangers of a black magic book that he owns. His body was very unusual and his face was burned off. He got a book from under the table and he said this: "I once sold this book to a young woman a long time ago, and the demons warned me not to stop my rituals, and if I gave the book away, they would burn my face and they would burn hers. And after I gave the book, I woke up the next day without my normal face. And the book I sold to that woman was right there, laying next to me on bed. I knew that it was the jinns that brought the book back to me. And this is when I strengthened my iman and I quit black magic." Quote, this was all said on TV, and the poor girl was just standing there, watching the same man speak. The man on TV was the man that gave her the book. The book he showed on TV was the book he handed to her. That was the book that was lost. The book that she was looking for.
Damn, it sounded like she got tempted by that knowledge. She just couldn't turn it down. Look what happened. Like some bad spirits was following her. Like the book, the part I'm trying to figure out is how the book, like, it just went back to the man's house. Did he take it back, or was it just there the next day? That's something to think about.
This is Tragedy by the Sea, one of the most disturbing and sad photos of all time. Okay, so first glance at this photo, you just think it's a couple arguing at the beach, right? But believe it or not, this photo might have the most unsettling and disturbing backstory ever. On the morning of April 2nd, 1954, Los Angeles Times photographer named John Gaunt, who was pictured in the middle of this photo, was relaxing on his front yard of his beachfront house when he heard a neighbor shout, "Something's happening on the beach." He then instinctively grabbed his camera and rushed over to see the horrified couple clutching each other on the beach. On the shore stood a young couple named Mr. and Mrs. McDonald, and their body language made John's stomach turn. He realized that someone must be lost, and he then took a photograph from 200 yards away. Only then did he learn that just moments before, the couple's 19-month-old son Michael, who had been playing in the yard, had wandered down to the beach and crawled into the violent waters while they weren't looking. Despite the back and forth efforts by the parents, there was nothing they can do but just wait. Unfortunately, later that day, the child's dead body was washed up about a mile away on the beach. And this photo, titled "Tragedy by the Sea," appeared on the front page of the Times the very next day. John Gaunt then won the 1955 Pulitzer Prize Award, calling the photo poignant and profoundly moving. But he also received heavy criticism for capitalizing on the family's tragedy for his photo opportunity. But now, take a look at this photo, knowing everything you do, and tell me it's not one of the saddest and most disturbing photos ever.
Let's talk about this picture. Captured in 2008 by Daniel Young, this is one of the only pieces of evidence that this encounter actually happened. So Daniel was a custodian at Myrtle Elementary School, where he worked the night shift. It's a pretty routine night. He's just listening to music when he's suddenly interrupted by the sound of a woman's laughter. He turned around and was terrified when he saw an unknown woman smiling from behind the corner. This was a locked school on after hours, so clearly she was an adult who broke in, so he tried to snap a picture to identify her and then chases after her. But when he turned the corner, she had already darted out of an emergency exit. Later that night, police are called to a home where they arrive at a tragedy. An unknown woman had broken into a nearby home where she knifed two parents, one who was the principal of this school, so brutally they were unrecognizable. One of the daughters who witnessed this woman before she got away described her as this person. Could this photo be of the same unknown woman? And what her connection is to the school and the principal, we don't know.
Most disturbing videos in the world. Episode 6. This picture contains a list of disturbing videos from the least scary to the most. This will be my scariest series ever. Welcome to Tier 7 because we skipped a couple of them. And honestly, today we're gonna skip directly to Tier 10. The first video is titled Funky Town. This video single-handedly could be the worst video the internet has ever had. Now obviously I can't show the video here, but I can tell you everything you need to know about it. And please remember, don't look this up. Trust me. It shows a man, getting executed, in which they remove the man's face all while he's still alive. And lots of other stuff start happening. And in the background of the video, the song Funky Town starts playing. You know this song? Yeah, that one. Make sure to like and follow because I start my brand new series tomorrow.
Those videos, man, where they always have to like break it down and explain. It's always chilling, man, and I take them at their word. I never looked it up because I don't need that in my mind. But the way they break it down, But the details, especially about Sebastian on Tank 22, we know, man. Crazy to how people can even do that to another human being. Edit, man. You guys, I want to see y'all guys call out the edits, man, down below as well. If y'all guys can spot them out, because I might miss some too. Y'all can correct me, man. We all the community, yo. So.
This is the disturbing moment. This woman laughed in court after she took this 3-year-old's life in a random attack. On June 3rd, police received numerous phone calls about a stabbing at a grocery store parking lot in Ohio. At around 3 p.m. on this day, 38-year-old Margot Wood was loading groceries into her car while her 3-year-old son, Julian, sat in his car seat. That's when 32-year-old Bianca Ellis entered the car and began stabbing the little boy. When Margot noticed, she tried to stop the attacker, and as a result, she was also wounded. Julian was then rushed to the hospital where he unfortunately passed away. Now, what's disturbing was that this was a random attack, and after looking at surveillance footage, the attacker was seen following the mother and the child in and out of the grocery store. Then, when Bianca was brought into court, the judge began reading out the indictment, and she was seen smiling and laughing the entire time. And after an assessment was done on Bianca, they're arguing that she has bipolar disorder and had a psychotic break, which explains why she did what she did. And this story only gets crazier. Before this incident, Bianca confessed to another murder in Bakersfield, and she even gave details of what she did with this person's body. She also warned officers that if she wasn't arrested, she was going to murder someone and eat their flesh. But none of this was taken too serious, and she was released from the mental institution, and not long after, she committed this heinous crime.
So, let's talk about the most disturbing animated film ever made that has been banned all over the world. 1992's Midori. Our main character is 12-year-old Midori. After her mother becomes extremely ill, she is tricked into joining a traveling circus. And these are some of the fine people that she is surrounded by every day. The film contains a lot of very explicit scenes of violence and other things towards young Midori. The film is also known for its animal content. When it was originally released, Midori was banned all over the world, including in its own home country of Japan. And I can definitely see why. I'm not kidding when I say this is probably the most graphic, strange, animated film that has probably ever been made. And this is most certainly not a film for a lot of people. It's a film I really don't feel like I can recommend, but there are lots of very interesting discussions around the morality of this film. And if you've seen this film, I'd love to know what you guys think of it.
Hell no, I didn't even know that film existed. It really was banned all around the world.
The man you just saw walking in that video was pedophile Jeffrey Doucette. Jeffrey was a 25-year-old karate instructor. Jeffrey gave karate lessons to young boys, and it's assumed that he did this to gain access to children because he was a pedophile. Now, at some point along the way, Jeffrey met the son of a man named Gary Plauché. Gary was a very protective father who loved his son dearly. And when Gary eventually found out that Jeffrey had been molesting his son for over a year, he was righteously angry. But Gary just wasn't going to let this slide. You see, for a year, Gary had trusted Jeffrey to take care of his son and teach him karate. But at one point, Jeffrey had abducted his son, taken him to a motel in Anaheim, California, and did absolutely unspeakable things to him. So that leads us to the infamous televised incident. On that day, Jeffrey was flown to Louisiana to face trial. There was a news team there waiting for him at the airport for when he arrived into the state, but there was somebody else waiting for Jeffrey there as well, Gary Plauché. I can't show you the full clip, obviously, but Gary was waiting for Jeffrey to walk down the hallway, and when he walked by him, he pulled out a handgun and shot Jeffrey, the man who molested his son, directly in the head. Afterwards, Gary gave himself up, dropped the gun, and he was initially charged with second-degree murder. But he entered a plea bargain and pled no contest to the manslaughter charges. He was then sentenced to 7 years of a suspended sentence, with 5 years of probation and 300 hours of community service, meaning that Gary spent no extended time in prison for the murder of the pedophile. To this day, people still sell merchandise with Gary Plauché all over it, as he has become a folk hero of sorts to people that hate pedophiles. If you want to hear more stories like this, listen to the podcast Murder in America that I co-host with my wife Courtney. It's available to listen to now on all streaming platforms.
The more you know, I never knew they sell merch about that incident. Guess he was a hero in some people's eyes, man, because you know we don't condone that over here, but that's An insane story.
The person you just saw in that video was former elected official and pedophile Stacey Marie Lofton. Stacey was the first openly transgender person elected to a state legislature anywhere in the United States. And people at the time in New Hampshire who elected Stacey thought that this was extremely radical. They were proud that they were inclusive and that they were giving power to an underrepresented population. However, Stacey would go on to do some terrible things. Because you see, in 2023, Stacey would be arrested and charged with possession of CP or CSAM. I still don't know the exact connection, but Stacey was arrested as well as this woman, a 38-year-old woman named Lindsay Groves. Now, Lindsay worked at a place called Creative Minds Early Learning Center in Massachusetts, where she worked closely with children. And apparently, Lindsay would use the bathroom breaks during the children's school day to take photographs of them. Photographs of them in compromising positions with no clothing on. Lindsay would then send these photos to the person she was in a relationship with, and I guess somehow some of those photos ended up in Stacey's possession. Now, I don't know what happened to Stacey after all of this, but I do know that it was reported that Stacey went to a prison for men. And yeah, this is just some really disturbing stuff. If you want to listen to more true crime stories, listen to the podcast that I co-host with my wife Courtney, Murder in America. It's available now on all streaming platforms.
It's always people in those positions, man. Power.
Number 10 is Saddam Hussein. We all remember Saddam. Number 9, Kim Jong-il, who is the uncle and the former leader of Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and he was even worse than Kim Jong-un. Like, even though Kim Jong-un is bad, like we got to step up from Kim Jong-il. I remember reading that he once fed his family to dogs. Number 8 is Genghis Khan, the guy, you know, the Mongolia Chinese wall, the Great Wall of China, forced everybody to do that.
Ooh.
Number 7, Heinrich Himmler, one of the right-hand men in the Nazi Party, was just all around evil. Number 6, Pol Pot, terrible man, maybe was one of the most ruthless killers in history. Number 5, Mao Zedong, the terrible emperor of China. Number 4, Osama bin Laden, the fool who committed 9/11 and went in hiding, and then we all forgot about him until Obama was like, we're actually going to go get him now, and I was like, thank God. Number 3, Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler is the basis for the character of Dracula. His middle name was Dragula, and he was known for impaling his victims on sticks and posing them in front of the castle. Number 2, Joseph Stalin, who was the leader of Russia during World War II, and he was basically one of the most ruthless killers as well. He had concentration camps for the Russians that didn't support him, and millions of people died under him. If you like this list and want more lists about other nonsense, follow me. Leave me a comment with the most evil person in history in your book. Also follow my Instagram and fiance Samantha, who I've tagged. Number 1, I can't even say his name on TikTok, but we all know who it is. Evil Austrian mustache man.
Think twice before you answer the door on Halloween night. On Halloween night in 1984, a pregnant mom named Doreen Herbert heard the doorbell ring. She opened the door to find someone in a wolf mask holding a machete. This was like a scene straight out of a horror movie, and she was viciously slaughtered in front of her 4-year-old daughter. Special attention had been made to harm the fetus as well, and it was found under this chair. Luckily, when the attack started, her daughter hid behind the couch, and then the man in the wolf mask paced around the house looking for her. The man in the mask shouted that if she said anything, he was going to come back and kill her too. Crime scene investigators noticed a trail of blood leading from the house down the sidewalk and across the freeway to a nearby neighborhood. This attack happened shortly after her husband left to go to the store, and he came home just a few minutes after she died. But luckily, officers did their due diligence. Looking into Doreen's past, they found out she had a tumultuous marriage with her ex-husband, Michael Dennis. And they actually had a child that drowned under Doreen's supervision in 1980. 2 years later, this distraught ex sued Doreen for the death of their child but lost in court. And just hours after the murder, the police paid a visit to Michael Dennis. He was calm and collected and gave consent to search, but as he reached out to sign the form, they noticed a gash on his hand. He said he got this injury from carving pumpkins the day before, but they noticed that the blood was still clotting.
Nah.
He began to walk detectives up towards his bedroom and lunged towards the bed. And they were luckily able to tackle him before he grabbed his revolver. And also inside the house, they found blood near the washing machine, and blood was all over his car door handle and steering wheel.
Caught him.
His past girlfriend also said that the previous Halloween, he went to a party wearing a wolf mask, pictured here. Michael Dennis was charged for the death of Doreen and her unborn child. And due to the brutality, he was actually given the death penalty. Michael Dennis had never moved on and hated Doreen for finding love and having another. And I have to say, if you've lost a child, Halloween is probably a really difficult day to look outside and see kids running around everywhere. But that does not excuse his actions. Let me know what case you want me to cover next and follow for more true crime.
It is wild. This
Out
is
of that
actually
horror
happening.
story.
Celebrities are now losing thousands of followers in an unprecedented TikTok trend where people are deliberately blocking the rich and famous so that they lose their sponsorships, their brand deals, and ultimately money. And you know what? It's working. So here's how the blockout trend started, and more interestingly, why. This is Hailey Bailey. She's a model and a content creator, and she doesn't know it yet, but she's about to trigger a massive digital revolution against the world's celebrities and herself, all with one video.
Let them eat cake. Here, take the bomb.
But to understand why what she did here caused so much outrage, we need to go back to the 1800s. I'm not even joking. The Queen of France in 1774 has somehow triggered a massive revolution on TikTok in 2024. Marie Antoinette was actually the last queen before the French Revolution, because at a time where the country was in extreme debt and the people were living in poverty and famine, Marie was seen living a lavish lifestyle and spending huge amounts of money on unnecessary things. For example, she was best known for her extreme looks and love for fashion. Her annual clothing budget alone was equivalent to today's $3.6 million. That's $300K a month. But ironically, what she is most remembered for is the time that she was told that the public were starving and they didn't have enough bread to eat, to which she replied, "Let them eat cake." And I say it's ironic because it's believed that she never actually even said this. Regardless, the public's anger grew and led to a revolution and ultimately her execution. So back to 2024, when Hailey Bailey dressed up as Marie Antoinette and used a trending sound saying "let them eat cake" while outside the Met Gala, where tickets cost more than the average down payment for a house. She quickly became the modern Marie Antoinette and triggered the blockout revolution. Now since then, she has apologized and said she didn't know the implications of that quote before she used it. And while the anger started with just her video, with one of the top comments saying "we're giving you the Marie Antoinette experience," it quickly grew to all of the celebrities that attended that event and beyond. The Hunger Games societal disparity became the movement theme, with hundreds of people commenting "watching from District 12." Creators started making videos showing off their own daily celebrity block lists, and the people who joined the trend say that the movement is simple. Just like how the French people's taxes were funding Antoinette's lavish lifestyle while they starved, today the public's attention is often what funds these celebrities' lifestyles. And so people say if they're using this attention money similar to Antoinette on massive unnecessary displays of wealth, or while people around the world struggle and starve, that attention and therefore money will be removed. And that's how and why the block trend started. So the question is, do you agree with this trend, or are people taking it way too far?
I ain't gonna lie, nah. The blockout trend, man, we need to get on that. I didn't even know about that. I mean, I guess it kind of applies. I guess it should go for like certain people, certain celebrities, because you know some people help. But she said "let them eat cake," but she knows she was at the Met Gala saying she didn't know, I guess, the meaning behind that quote. But you're at the Met Gala, like that's an expensive place to be at. You saying that, so the stories kind of don't add up. But hey, man, people, they trying to take their power back, man. Like, because if you think about it, what he says, right? Like, if you follow a celebrity or you're giving them attention, you're funding their lifestyle. You're giving them all that money. So that goes to show you, man, when people say they're doing a celebrity block, if you block it and you're supporting them, man, that's going to cut like the sponsorship money and stuff in half. So, hey, man, people got to understand, man. We people, man, the ordinary people, we got the power if we band together. Crazy, man. If you guys stay with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker, seeking the truth. I greatly appreciate the support, man. Like I said, guys, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, man. Follow me on all my social medias down below. Like I said, man, we're posting every single day, so I would really appreciate the support. Guys, can catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.